Well, the summit was announced for the 12th of June in Singapore, which is now just hours away. Well, I'm joined now from Washington by Bruce Klingner, a former CIA Deputy Director for Korea and Senior Research Fellow for Northeast Asia at the Heritage Foundation. Hello to you. Certainly, it's been a complicated journey to get here, hasn't it? Do you think this is the right thing to do for President Trump to meet an oppressive leader?
It certainly has been a bumpy road on the road to Singapore. I would have preferred a more traditional bottoms-up approach, as was done in the past. It makes it a lot more unpredictable when we're doing a top-down approach like this with very little preparation. So we could have a big success, or we could have a big clash between the two leaders.
I mean, many people are saying this is already a coup for the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. He always wanted a meeting, or North Korean leaders always wanted meetings, didn't they, with US presidents? If he's in a win-win situation, is it really all to lose at this stage for President Trump?
Well, I think what Kim Jong-un has won is, some will say, the legitimacy, but I think more importantly, it's making it harder to maintain pressure on North Korea, or if the summit goes poorly, to really ratchet up pressure. People now see Kim as quite reasonable, that he's had a real image makeover. They don't see him as the dangerous dictator who's threatening the world anymore, because he's crossed the finish line of getting a nuclear ICBM. So with the, appearing gregarious and logical and in a normal manner, he's already causing South Korea and China to want to lower sanctions, and it's going to make it harder for the U.S. to either maintain pressure or increase pressure.
Give us an insight, if you can, into your work as a Deputy Director for Korea at the CIA. Was North Korea high enough up the agenda at all times?
Very much so. North Korea has long been known to be a major threat to the United States security and a major issue for the United States intelligence community. We called it the hardest of the hard targets. It was very difficult to get information on North Korea as compared with the Soviet Union, which I worked before. But that said, we do have a lot of information on North Korea. But perhaps the leadership is always the area where we had the least information. But now that there have been meetings, not only by Secretary of State Pompeo, but others, we're gleaning a lot more information about Kim Jong-un, as well as the other senior members of the entourage.
So will this summit in itself be a chance for intel, if I can put it like that? We're all going to focus on the body language, the camaraderie between the two, but will people in places like the CIA really be picking apart what you can learn about North Korea from this summit?
Certainly, there's going to be a lot of what we call leadership intelligence gleaned from this meeting with the U.S. officials directly observing and interacting with Kim Jong-un, just as the earlier meetings with not only Secretary of State Pompeo, but then the senior South Korean delegation. But all of that is really leading up to trying to enable policymakers to make the best decisions they can on policy making. So at this point, it's not so much the intelligence collection, it's having a successful summit, which the U.S. would see as, we need to get a very firm, unequivocal public confirmation by North Korea that they embrace the UN-required concept of complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement of its nuclear program and its missile programs.
Are you confident that might happen? And if it does, if it is indeed on the table, there seems to be some debate about what denuclearization means for the two sides. If that does happen, what will President Trump have to give up?
Well, I'm very skeptical, I think, as most Korea watchers are. As we've seen, North Korea has a different concept of denuclearization. Korea watchers have long known that, but I think it came as a surprise to the White House last month when a senior North Korean official described or really reiterated their longstanding policy that they see denuclearization not as unilateral disarmament, but as part of global arms control. And as a new member of the nuclear club, they say they will go to zero when the rest of the world goes to zero. So I think we're further apart than many may think. But if we do have an unexpected success, then the U.S. would be looking towards providing sanctions relief, economic assistance, normalization of relations, even a formal recognition of North Korea.
Very interesting to talk to you. Bruce Klingner, former CIA Deputy Director for Korea. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Very interesting.